Justice League
Review.
I mean, now
Is that our new 2018 thing?
Justice League
Review. Every one of them's going to have to do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we saw Justice League. We
Yep.
saw it last year, but it's only taken us this long to get over it. Paul had to see it on his own with a beverage, I believe.
Yeah.
I think we were going out after. We had like an event on after, and your face, you look like a ghost. You look like you'd
Yep.
seen a ghost. Sorry.
I've seen a ghost. I did. Someone had risen from the dead, but he should have stayed dead.
They were like,
Fuck.
they were. You never cracked a smile the whole night.
No.
I think you were in shock. It was like you were in a coma.
Slowly dying on the inside.
And I didn't know why. Well, I knew why, but I didn't know
You know,
what the details
Yeah.
were, And then I saw it, and everything we've said on this podcast for the last year, 100 videos, we've always mentioned it. We've always
Yeah.
mentioned DC, but like it just all came true.
it just
Not in a good way. For them.
I think the only thing that saved this movie for either of us was like
It had an ending.
it had an end. It was just like we saw it coming. It wasn't like we walked in blind and we're just like, oh, it's Batman, Superman all over again, or it's Suicide Squad. We're just like, yep, that's exactly the shit show I expected.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone knows now the story. They know that Zack Snyder left and Joss Whedon came in.
That's right, yeah.
They know that they started filming this like a week after Batman Superman had come out.
Yeah.
And that in the middle of like the backlash to Batman Superman, Warner Brothers are like, okay, we need a happier movie. And then towards the end of shooting, Wonder Woman comes out, and she's like the most successful movie Warner Brothers or DC have ever had. It's got a ridiculously high 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then it's at that point that Snyder leaves in March. Joss Whedon comes in. They spend a bunch of money on reshoots. And if like you compare the trailers, you can see where it's all like different digital, different coloring.
I could pick out quite a few of them.
Yeah, you can see everything's like kind of being oversaturated and pumped up in color and brightness. Because there's some weird bits where it's like you can tell it was shot at like this is off topic, but like you can tell the camera was shot at a certain aperture rate.
Sure.
So I was expecting a dark thing.
Yeah.
And you can see that in post they bumped it up.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of grain in there that you would not get out of a top quality camera.
I noticed a couple of those scenes actually because on previous podcasts, I do actually like that kind of gritty grain that DC bring to their films, but I noticed it was slightly different in scenes on this one.
It's grainy in the sense of it's the camera wasn't supposed to go that far,
exactly,
and the editor
not on purpose. Like we want to,
so anyway, that's the whole background production.
Yeah.
You have this company that is in panic mode. They want to make money, and they're telling the director to fix it. And then midway through, for personal reasons, the director has to do something else. A new director has to come in, and he wants to rewrite the script. And they're like, make a joke here, make a joke there. We got an Aquaman movie coming out. We want that to sell. We got Wonder Woman was great, so put her in it more. And we want Flash to sell, so sell him too. Yeah. Also, we got a new Commissioner Gordon. And Superman has to come back from the dead. And we have a brand new bad guy. And there's these boxes that we've never mentioned before. And there's Cyborg. I forgot about Cyborg.
Oh, I forgot about him as well.
And I'm just like, yeah, this was a shit show.
Unbelievable. Just you mentioning, just taking it off there. I got bored.
I know.
Of you just naming all of those things.
So. And then you're sitting there as like, whatever about Zack Snyder, I don't think he's the right guy for those kind of movies or the DC movies.
Yeah.
And Joss Whedon is supposed to be the guy who's perfect for it because he made 2 Avengers movies and made $1 billion on both of them.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing anything in there. No director in the world is walking into that fucking minefield.
Right, yeah.
Of being like, okay, so we have a Batman who kills people and a Superman who's a miserable prick. And we have a shitty Lex Luthor. And somehow I have to make them all happy and colourful now. Anyway, that's the backstory. The backstory alone is hard to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, for me and like what we were talking about was it's just going to be so hard for them to cram it all in. But let me get one thing straight, is that we want them to succeed.
Yes.
Because we're a fan of all of the characters,
yeah.
And we want competition's good. You want Marvel to have competition. So we've always wanted him to succeed. I don't want people thinking like we're just going to diss DC for another year. But it looks like it might happen.
Well, all we got this year is Aquaman at the end of the year. So.
Aquaman, yeah. And even then, I'm not like super pumped for it after this film as well.
Yeah.
So, but it happened. We watched it.
You're considered the more balanced of the two of us.
I tried.
What did you think?
So overall, I just thought it was lacking. It was exactly. I've written a couple of notes here, but the main thing is exactly what we were saying.
We're doing notes now in 2018. Shit.
I've always written notes. I've been reading off a screen, but I'm surprised you've only just fucking noticed.
I'm basically asleep for most of these.
Yeah, basically just sleep talking. I've not noticed that you've been eyes closed.
Yeah, sleep ranting.
You've learned how to sleep with your eyes open.
Yeah, it's been 20 years now. It's going well.
But just fitting it all in was always my issue. And it was a huge issue. Introducing everyone for the first time. You just mentioned it. You were just ticking things off, like those new boxes. The enemy, the bad guy, was fucking awful.
The worst.
Like
the worst.
Awful. And then it had that moment, like, so Batman vs Superman had the Martha moment. You know, where you were just like, oh, it's just snapped. It's broken in half. The film's broken in half. And for me, this one had it was almost the exact same time code of when the Martha happened, and it was when Superman came, and there was just no challenge. There was the bad guy was useless. Superman came, saved the day, and they're portraying him. They're trying to correct him as well.
Oh,
with being
it's a full handbrake turn.
Totally, and I was disgusted with how bad it was when he turned up, and Superman even was just like, I can't remember his line, but it was like, "Is that all you've got?" or something, and he just beat the shit out of him.
Freezes him.
And then Superman's like, "Oh, I gotta go save these other guys," you know. But I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like now Superman's here. There's like literally, I could just leave the cinema because like nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Before that, I was like, okay, this guy's raining Ravik or kicking ass and stuff, but he was still a boring enemy. But that really, really ruined it for me. But there's plenty of other stuff to talk about as well.
The thing, let's just go into what was good.
What was good.
And then we can find the rest of it. Because to me, it's definitely unbalanced in that. Like for me, this is... Like, as I think back on it, and I think back at the things I like, I realize that I'm searching for scraps.
Sure.
Like I'm taking anything I can get.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, am I in an abusive relationship with DC? Like it just wails on me. So, and I just keep going back, being like, oh, but it did this right. I can change it. It's still good. So, and I'm like, what am I holding on to here? Because I'm holding on to the things that are like. Superman comes back and he smiles.
Yeah.
And he makes a joke with Cyborg.
Right.
And all my favorite moments are like little Superman bits.
Sure.
Like, oh, he's going to race the Flash. And stuff. And that's super cheesy comic-y book.
Yeah, yeah.
And I realized that I'm holding on to it because it's like, that's exactly what DC wanted. It was pure, shallow pandering. There's nothing behind it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the moment that, I know I was supposed to get onto the good things. The moment that broke it for me, when I realized it was so overstuffed and I couldn't look through my ruby rose glasses anymore, was when, spoiler alert, Superman comes back.
Yeah.
He goes to Kansas with Lois.
Sure.
And then he's I think he's giving Lois a hug, and he goes, "Oh, you called her," because he hears the truck. Right. And his mum arrives.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then his mum comes over. Now, bear in mind, this is the mother of a son who's been dead a year.
Yeah.
And he's now back from the grave, looking great. And he's happy to see her. And I was like, this is the one fucking chance you can put some heart into the movie.
Sure.
Because everything else is bollocks.
Yeah.
Everything else.
I agree.
It's just like, here's a Cyborg, here's a Flash.
It's all
Flash makes a joke. Batman makes a joke.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All shite. And I thought, right, the whole point of this movie to me was get Superman right, reset everything, go forward. And I thought, this is the moment. This is where you show him doing something sweet and genuine, says something really kind of heroic to Lois, and then he'll fly off and he'll save the day. and I was waiting for it, and they cut.
They didn't show the mum bit?
Mum comes over, hugs his mum.
Yeah.
Cut.
It was just cut, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it goes to the next thing. I'm like, fuck you. That was it. I was out. I'm just like, you've got nothing now.
Yeah,
you have nothing in this movie.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, now because I think I was getting a Lois scene because he was talking to Lois.
Yep.
Which also very, very odd thing happened. So talking to Lois, and she just goes, "You smell nice."
Yeah.
What the
Where the
fuck
did that come from?
That was the weirdest line.
The whole thing is weird, and like I just ignored all of it because I'm just like, just get Superman right, please.
Yeah.
And they sort of gotten on the track. They had like Lois comes over and she's like, Clark, don't do this, when he's freaking out, and he picks her up and flies off.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. I know it's kind of weird the way they've made Superman in this universe, that he only cares about Lois, but whatever.
Sure.
Then he's in Kansas. He's on the farm. It's sunset. It's beautiful. I'm like, he's in the cornfields.
This is his origin. Like, this is him. You know?
This is him finally loving humanity again.
Yeah.
And then the mom thing happened. I was like, fuck off.
Do you reckon they might have had more and they cut because of the cinema?
I don't know.
So.
Either way, it just shows how DC fuck up.
Yeah.
Either they just decided to get to the next scene quickly because they have to cut down the runtime so they can make more money.
Yeah.
Or they didn't shoot anything else. They didn't have another script part there that would make you know... Like, I was watching it, I was getting a little emotional because I'm like... Because what's happening is emotional.
Sure, yeah.
Like, you just... In my head, I'm thinking of it because obviously I'm a big fan. I know, like, all the history of it. I'm like, she's finally getting to see her son back.
Yeah.
It's been a year. Like, if you were dead or you thought, you know... If your family thought you were dead and you came back after a year... It would just blow your fucking mom's mind. She'd be in tears and you'd be in tears and everyone watching would be in tears. It'd be, Like, you ever watched one of those YouTube videos of like the guys coming home from Iraq and shit?
Right,
And like they surprise their girlfriend or their wife or their kid and everyone's in tears and you're watching, you're in tears. You don't even know these fucking people. And they couldn't even get that right. I'm like...
Yeah, I do see it. I do see it.
And that was my Martha moment of like... You got nothing now. Because then they go to like he's fighting Steppenwolf and Superman makes a nice joke and it's a good joke and I was just like, it's totally empty now.
Because in Man of Steel, one of the scenes I actually really like in Man of Steel, even though I know we don't like that film, is when they go to his mum's house. Do you remember? And then they're trying to find the ship, and then he comes smashing through. And he's just smashing the guy's face saying, like, don't ever touch my mum or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's great. He's like super, like, don't ever come to my house kind of thing, you know? So, yeah, I guess, And then when you go back to Justice League, you want to see a bit more emotion. It's his bloody mum, but then they cut, you know? Yeah. For some reason, I thought there was more to that scene.
And sorry, just to add to that, like in Batman Superman, the whole point is Martha is his mum that saves him and Batman's mum. And then Batman goes and saves Martha. And that's what like reconnects the two of them. Yeah. And then there's all that thing. And you're just like...
So then they just show like a 2-3 second
Oh, she got out of the truck and goes, you're alive. Great. Hug. Bye. Cut.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
That wasn't a reshoot though, wasn't it? That was always...
I think,
I know based the reshoot was him being evil.
Yeah. Well, this is our reshoot thing of like you can spot the mustache or whatever.
That was the evil one. Yeah.
Evil one was reshot.
Yeah. That
thing in the field, I think, was the original.
So before, this is what I wanted to talk about was, so before they reshot that, they never had that evil scene in there then. So here's
the story I've heard is they have that scene with him in the different costume. Oh, because there's the costume where he's all black with a silver S. Yeah. I've heard that's the scene. Huh. And they reshot it without the costume. Right. So you're like, okay. Yeah. Because the reason for that was if he pops out and he's got a costume like that on, you're like, wait a minute, no, he was in the grave in like a suit. So apparently Snyder's version has a whole like Kryptonian chamber and all that. Right. Which is, I don't care. Like it's not. I'm not complaining what it was. It's just like, reshoot it, do it again. I'm like, all right, lads, you guys got the money. It's not like I'm paying you for this. Oh wait, I am. I'm paying you to see this. You complete bunch of idiots.
And then the other question is, did you spot the mustache mistake? I've got to admit, I didn't. But when someone pointed out online, I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I can see
like
that.
I was in one of those. Again, I'm like just trying not to notice because I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I was trying to watch it like an average person who didn't know all the backstory like we would.
Sure. Yeah.
Like someone walking in wouldn't really.
I don't.
They wouldn't be focusing on his upper lip.
No.
So I'm like, okay, don't look at his upper lip. That's not how you look at a movie. You're looking at the eyes or whatever. So that was, I like that. Like I said, I like Superman.
Yeah.
At the end, big colorful costume. Then they give him the fan thing of like his super breath, which we've never seen. In the Snyderverse, and he helps Cyborg win, and then he races Flash. And
the racing Flash is cool because it's like little moments like that where. So at the end, I know it's an end scene as well, like almost like an Easter egg thing. But he ran off and stuff, and then I said to my wife, I was like, "Oh, the Flash beats him because the Flash is faster than Superman."
Yeah,
I believe
he is.
But it's little things like that where I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. That's a cute scene or whatever." Can't believe I just said cute scene. But,
it's a cute scene. It is
anyway,
cute. That is. It's pure comic book cheese.
Like, hey, that's this. At the end of the Thor trailer, like my brother's like, "Oh, what ship's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's this ship or whatever," you know. So those are cool things. So those are good bits.
That's the thing. But all my good bits are the Superman bits, which to me all feel like Joss Whedon was brought in and just said, "Can you make Superman likable?"
I personally like Batman's character. I like that he's old, grey, and he's recruiting. And I actually like,
and he's shit.
And I actually like Ben Affleck, and he is shit. He gets the crap kicked out of him. I that's my favorite thing about the films. I didn't really connect with the other characters. I thought I was going to connect with Aquaman a bit more. I didn't. Flash, I knew what he was going to be like. He was good, actually. The Flash, out of all the characters to build up, I actually cared about his story with his dad.
He's got a good story there. But that's why the TV show is great, because the whole first season's built on that.
It must have been the acting, because seeing him
good
and
actors,
his dad and stuff. I did care about that. I didn't care about Cyborg. At all. Though I did like that Cyborg's dad is the dude from
Miles Tyson.
Yeah, I did like that. Wonder Woman, sure. They've got the bat. She's got her movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty good. And then Aquaman, I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest. I was expecting to like him more as well.
Do you know what I've noticed about Aquaman and people saying they like Aquaman? I say, do you like Aquaman? Or do you like Jason Momoa?
Exactly.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you like Jason Momoa or do you like Aquaman?
Yeah.
And if you think about what Aquaman does in the movie, it's not a lot. No. It's just basically Jason Momoa having a great time on set.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. It's like, yeah, that's basically it.
I was expecting to see him react a little bit different when they're people are going to be shouting at me. But when they attacked, when they took the cube
from Atlantis,
I was expecting him to be a bit more of a leadership role, like when he went down, but he was just like a meathead, basically. And he was just like,
that was a weird thing too, because he's not the king, and that's like his first time in Atlantis or something, because it's the first time Mera ever meets him.
Yeah,
and it's that like for a fan, even I'm very confused. I'm like, is he the king or is he not the king?
No, I know,
they have this whole thing of like he comes from the sea every few years on like the king tide or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's okay, he's living in the ocean by himself.
Yeah.
Like, what is the backstory there?
Yeah,
and if I'm the director or writer of the Aquaman movie, I'm fucking raging because I'm like, oh god, you guys fucked that up.
Yeah. But like their way of saying, they're just going to say, oh, we'll explain it in the movie.
Yeah.
And
they already said that because you know that weird thing of like, oh, we'll have them talk by her creating an air bubble.
Right.
And then they could talk in that.
Yeah.
Which has never happened in the comics because it makes no fucking sense. I know in a comic to say something makes no sense is kind of stupid. But why would someone who has always lived underwater need to create an air bubble to talk to someone else?
Sure, yeah. Just use the fucking like sonar.
Either sonar or sign language.
Yeah.
Surely to fuck your civilization has developed over the thousands of years that... Like, she's the only one who can do it.
Yeah.
Like, is she the only... Why would she speak the only language that he had? Like, whatever.
To get a cameraman in there, you know?
Oh, God. It's just... It's one of those little things of just like... But the point of that was the director came out and said, yeah, there's no air bubbles in our version.
Yeah.
So right away, there's like, we're just doing the telepathic thing,
okay.
or they're
go.
talking underwater.
Okay. But that's another thing that's just annoying because they're going to break the world that way. You know, like they should have said like, don't do that because in our film we're not doing that thing. Whereas like Marvel, I feel like would communicate.
They would definitely have
that.
They'd
be like, oh, don't do that. Or if you do, we'll explain it. Or if anything, we'll have a joke out of it. We'll just say Tony Stark did, whatever.
And the other thing, like you're saying,
worlds are now different.
And it's also in the worlds of the sense of, to me, that stinks of Zack Snyder. Of a guy who's created Batman as like a hardened, gun-toting guy, and Superman's a miserable guy, and like, this is the real world, and this is how we deal with it. And he's like, he had to explain how that would be possible. Yeah. Because in the comic version world, the people underwater just talk to each other. They don't explain it. If you're underwater and you're one of the Atlanteans or whatever, you can just talk to each other. Yeah. Just like they have the speech bubble and they talk to each other. And Zack Snyder, he couldn't make that fit his vision of this realistic dark world, which immediately should scream, you don't get this then. This isn't your world. This is the comic world where we've got that like few little Easter eggs of like there's a Green Lantern fighting the original battle. Right. Remember that? He's got like the ring and he dies and then his ring flies off. Yeah. It's like, that's the DC universe, Zach. You don't get it. Or whatever you're trying to get is basically you just want to make Batman. You just want to make a Batman movie, mate. You just want a guy beating the shit out of people. Right. And you made it. It was Watchmen. It was all right. It was one of those points of like, he's made it more complicated than it should be. We shouldn't be here talking about this stupid little point. But it's that fact of like, if you're getting that kind of shit wrong,
of course,
you're going to get the whole thing wrong. Yeah. Anyway, what else did we like?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was really bad in the movie. I did have a few points where I was watching the Batman and I'm kind of thinking he was tacked on. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's because like as the character they're like, in this universe he's shit, like he's just a guy, right? Yeah, so we'll just give him one of the alien guns and he'll just shoot them. I know. I'm like, all right, is that because he's shit or is it because Ben Affleck don't give a fuck? I don't know. I got the feeling it's because he's just shit and he doesn't have superpowers, and they even said like, and no one can figure it out, rich or whatever. Yeah, but I kind of like that about it as well. Like I kind of like that he, even in Batman vs Superman, he got thrown around a lot. Like he was useless against against the enemy. But if you're a Batman fan though, it's kind of like, what do we got here? To be fair, like Batman has never had a good movie. There's been good Batman movies, but the Batman of the comic books has never been in the movies. Better than me, I guess. So. But it's more a case of like, if you look at Michael Keaton's Batman, is rich crazy guy. You look at Christian Bale, rich crazy guy, who gets the shit kicked out of him. Yeah, it's very realistic. Sure. Like he's like jumping from building to building and breaking his leg and shit. You know, he's no good. And then you've got Ben Affleck, who's rich crazy guy, who's got lots of money and guns and big impenetrable stuff. But it's like, you're dumb as a plank, mate. You are like fucking. You can't figure out there's something about Wonder Woman. You can't figure out Batman. Batman cannot figure out that Superman is Clark Kent. Yeah. Like, and there's whatever it is. There's the cartoon, and like he meets him, and within 5 fucking minutes, he's like, "Oh, this is Clark Kent, the expert reporter, or whatever." You know. Right. I'm just like, he's the world's greatest detective. Yeah. He's the smartest, most dangerous man in the world. That's the way they always describe him. Sure. And he definitely doesn't come across that way. He's never come across. The one thing they got right with Affleck's Batman, I guess, is the way he fights. Mm-hmm. He's incredibly good at fighting. Right. But they kind of stole that from Arkham games. Sure. Yeah. But you know, like he clears the room, he goes up and he throws all this stuff, and he's going so fast and so brutal, too brutal. But he's doing that. You're just like, oh, this is a guy who could handle his shit. Sure. But he's still dumb. But yeah, he doesn't have the mind. Of the comic by the sound. So by the time you're into the big, huge, galactic, alien monster creatures. He's done.
Yeah.
He's done. There is, it's just, you cannot deal with it. He's like, he's not being built up to the physical level because he's old Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
That he could be a good guy in a fight. And he wouldn't anyway. Once you put a character who's a man in a bat suit beside a guy who can run faster than a bullet.
Yeah, you can't compete. Yeah,
he's no good.
He needs his technology, but he needs his mind. It's a bit like
it has to be
Captain
his mind.
America in a way. Like you need to think about things, be strategy and all that lot. So.
Yeah, like there's a good comic that got turned into an animated movie called Batman Superman Apocalypse.
Okay.
And you know Apocalypse is the guy in this.
Yeah.
He's got his own world. He's off doing that. And it's a good reference because it's got Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman off fighting Apocalypse, right? And they're trying to rescue Supergirl. So what happens is they get to the planet and Batman fucks off. And he just says, you two go do whatever you're going to do. And obviously they're super powered and they beat the shit out of people and they get in big fights. And that's exactly what they can do. But what happens at the end of it is Apocalypse is watching the two of them fighting off in one of his courtyards from his palace.
Sure.
And Batman comes into the palace. And Darkseid's like, what the hell are you doing here? You're just a man.
Yeah.
I could kill you with the swipe of his hand. He's like, yeah, except I went and I figured out the codes for your bombs. And I've connected all of them. I think he's connected to his heartbeat or something. And he's like, oh no, he just has a timer on it. I'm the only one who can turn it off. So you either let Supergirl go or I blow up your whole planet. And Darkseid's like threatening him. He's going to break his neck. He's going to kill him. It's a great little moment. And he backs off.
Yeah.
And he says, all right, I give you my word. Let Supergirl go.
Sure.
And then he has the line. He says, if the Kryptonian or the Amazon had tried this, I would have called their bluff. But I knew you would never back down. And that's Batman. He couldn't beat him. Except to outthink him and just be like, he is willing to be that insane that he would do it.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
And that's how he beats Darkseid.
Yeah.
And you're like, in this movie, you're ending up with Ben Affleck standing on a ledge firing a gun. And I am like, if you're a Batman fan, that's not your Batman.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Now that you put it that way, yeah, for sure.
But that's just the thing of like, when he fights the Joker and the Riddler, he can deal with it. And when he fights the aliens and the big monsters and everything, he's just the smart one. He's the one who's going to be like, what's their weakness? How do I get it?
Yeah.
He's not fighting them. He's not like rolling around.
He's going to make like the decisions, the sacrifices, whatever it is.
But Zack Snyder's Batman isn't that.
Yeah.
He's an idiot who thinks he's going to make a spear out of fucking kryptonite.
God. Yeah.
And
then
gets freaked out because someone says Martha. Like, whatever you say about liking or don't like the movie, it's the plain fact. That is a bad Batman to put in a superhero movie. It's a good Batman for like a dark, gritty detective. It's bad when you're like, oh yeah, this guy's taking over Russia because of his, I don't know, magic plants or whatever the fuck it was.
What did you think of The Flash, seeing as you're such a big fan?
The effects were great.
Yeah. Didn't you have a thing with like the zoom at the end? No, it wasn't. Is it lightning that comes off him or blue? Or I seem to remember.
I just left it. I was like, fine, whatever. Instead of making it yellow, they've made it blue
because it's yellow. It's yellow in the TV series.
It's yellow. It's yellow in the comics, yellow in the TV series.
Okay.
Anyway, I was like fine with it because they do that great thing. It's like they make him look fast, but you can still see what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he had some good moments, but the weird thing about that character was like they were trying to make you like him too much. And I was like, why don't you just stick with the character of like the guy who misses his dad? Like you said, that's a good character. And they never... I think that's the thing about this movie, if I was to break it down in a proper analysis, like no scene is connected to any other. Like his scene with his dad is for the audience. It's so that we see him and we feel sorry for him. Yeah. That doesn't have any effect on it again. Like he never has a moment where he's talking to Wonder Woman or Batman. He's just like I'm just here because I want to help my dad, or something like that. Or Batman has a moment because like I lost my parents too. You're not going to lose your dad. Yeah. And then at the end, when Batman does that thing of getting him into police school, you're like, oh okay, this is cool. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, he just everything about it just seems disconnected. It's just like, how do we make him put a joke in here, make a thing here, make a thing here?
Yeah, I can see it. They were like just basically following the rule book, and they were just like, "Oh, we're gonna do this."
Yeah,
and they were like almost. I saw him almost filling the role of Tom Holland, like the Spider-Man
exactly,
guy, like in the equivalent of the Avengers. So he's gonna be in Avengers. He's gonna crack some jokes or whatever. But yeah, I kind of saw that. But yeah, I mean, overall, it went down the exact path I thought it was going to go down. And then I always judge it on like, do I want to watch it again? Will I watch it again? Probably not. I probably will watch it in 2 or 3 years.
We're going to watch the extended.
We'll obviously watch it for the commentary.
But in
I
terms
just
of
mean,
you
like,
want to
me
watch
wanting
it.
To
like you've already gone back and watched Thor.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that says it all.
And I've seen Homecoming as well. And I'm sure I'll see Black Panther and whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, you know what? I'm at around that stage that I'll probably watch Wonder Woman again. So that's something.
I've seen that twice.
That's something for
yeah.
DC.
Yeah.
But no, it's just.
And we mentioned this in the podcast this week, or whatever week you're listening to this. I don't know when people listen to it. But this movie has made the least amount of money.
That's right.
Of any DC extended. Less than Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Less than Suicide Squad. Like,
so they need to do some mixing up, some changing up. But the next one is Aquaman. That's out end of this year.
Yeah.
But just who cares enough about that stuff? I don't know. Like,
I think Aquaman has to come out only because it's been shot.
Because it's been shot.
It's been shot.
Basically, yeah.
But the Shazam movie, I think, is going to be stopped. I think Flash is going to... It was never being made. It had a bunch of delays.
Yeah.
I think they're going to put the boot in that.
Yeah.
And they're probably just going to, like, let's just bring out a Batman movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just get a new Batman, bring out a new Batman, and then do a Flash.
But not Snyder.
Not Snyder,
yeah,
no.
Okay.
And, like, new director, new Batman. Like, that's what I said. Like, a soft kind of reboot.
Sure.
And then you do the Flashpoint movie, which is he resets the universe.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, yeah.
Then you can do it.
Yeah.
2019, reset the whole universe. Or Green Lantern arrives and he's like, oh, it was all a dream. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's what DC are... Honestly, I think that's what they're thinking right now.
As
It's
long
like, how do we
as
fucking
Ryan
save
Reynolds
this?
Makes a cameo. I'm happy with it. So.
That would be awesome.
Well,
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted as well.
I hate these fucking DC movies.
We will do.
There's so much to talk about, though.
We'll do a commentary for sure.
We have to, because like we haven't even mentioned the shitty opening scenes. The weird choices.
I think the commentary for this will be better than our Batman vs Superman. I really
think
do.
so. I'm losing it. My shit on this one.
But let us know what you guys think as well in the comments.
Yeah.
And let us know if you want us to do commentaries on something else or talk about something, other films or whatever. But we will we'll do our best to accommodate you. I
still have to figure out a catchphrase. It's been a year. I haven't got a sign off yet.
Yeah.
I've fallen in the water. I stole that from someone else. Okay. There's a little contest. If anyone can name that without looking it up, you get my respect. It's from an old, what would be called a podcast back in the day. I've fallen in the water. I'll give the answer next week. You don't even know what I'm on about.
No, I do not. But on that note...
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening.